That is so beautiful. That's another Karen Drucker song. She writes a lot of the New Thought music that we sing here. And you did that beautifully, by the way. Okay. All right, so last Sunday was all about resurrection, and this Sunday is the daily word is healing, and kind of had a resurrection and a healing in my own family this week. It was kind of funny. But my husband is an interesting guy. You know, he can do just about anything. Most of you know Dan. He's the guy up there that's working the soundboard and making certain everything goes well. So we're driving along, and he says, sometimes he gets his words mixed up. You know, he's a brilliant guy. He can design anything. He designed this building. He can build anything. He can just about do anything. But he'll get his words mixed up sometimes. Sometimes they're simple words. So we're just driving along, and he says, you know, I got to call and schedule my autopsy. So,
you're not right.
Being the smart aleck that only a wife can be at times, you know, I mean, we definitely have the market on that. I knew he was good, what he was talking about. You know, he's talking about this simple little biopsy he's supposed to have scheduled, and he just keeps forgetting to call about it. So I looked at him and I said, you're not scheduling it yet, buddy. You got way too many things to finish before you do that. So anyway, he finally had caught on at that point to the fact that he was scheduling his autopsy. But anyway, we do seem to have that relationship, you know, where he mixes his words up sometimes, and sometimes I just let it go, and then other times I just have to make a big deal out of it like that. Just can't help it. So seriously, today's daily word is healing. It is all about seeing ourselves as healed and whole already. Myrtle Fillmore taught that. She said, see yourself as already healed. Already healed. How do we do that? Well, we're going to talk about that for a few minutes today. You've likely been taught, like I was, that if you love someone, you're supposed to worry about them, right? That's how you show your love. But does worry really help? Does it really help them? Does it help you? Now, if you're right in the middle of something with your family, I realize you can hardly get beyond it. I know what is the best way to help? Most of us want to know when we know of a healing need. How do we help? What's the best thing to do? Pray. Exactly. I know for myself and several of you out there, we've made several hospital visits. And when you get there, the situation can be so dire, you will feel like there are not words. What words should I use? I had someone ask me last Sunday, she was going to visit someone who'd been given a terminal diagnosis, someone she'd known all of her life. She said, what am I supposed to say? I said, well, you just listen. Just listen. If she wants you to pray, pray with her. Just be there with her. That's the same as praying. So I remember being at the bedside of a child and seeing the worry of the family. I remember thinking, God, what should I say in this circumstance? I could see they were worried that whether this child was going to live, whether they were going to make it. So I remember in the midst of all that anxiety, I closed my eyes and I just prayed for the briefest moment. What should I say? And I received the answer that's just stay at peace. See, the patient is already healed and whole. See them that way. But you be at peace yourself. Everyone else is distraught, not able to be at peace. So your energy of peace will be immensely helpful at this time. it's always helpful. No matter what situation you're in. And like I said, I recognize there are times when this is our loved one, and it's extremely difficult for us to be at peace with that. But if you're asked to be with a loved one, just be with them, pray, listen with your whole heart. Sometimes it seems like if we drop the worry that that we're just sitting idly by and doing nothing, but this is definitely not the case. Pray. Pray from your heart. See them well, healed and whole, the way that God sees them. In a book that Joel Goldsmith wrote, The Art of Spiritual Healing, he talked about not dwelling on the condition, but just dwelling on God. He was a healer, and being a healer came to him, it was a gift, as we spoke of a moment ago. It's a gift that came to him. He realized that he was a healer and that he could help people heal. He would have people call in the middle of the night wanting him to pray for them or their loved one to heal. So what he would do would just be to go within, into the void, into the silence, into the nothingness, and hold that person in his heart. And many people were healed because Joel Goldsmith prayed for them. It's a way of healing. There's nothing needed. We have everything we need. Just go with that. Go within. So then prayer becomes being rather than talking, doesn't it? You become a vessel of divine love. You have complete faith that the best is going to happen, and you hold on to that. This requires faith. What did Jesus mean when he said, "Your faith has made you whole"? He said other things. Your faith has healed you. As you believe, it shall be done unto you. If you have faith, you could say to the mountain, depart, and it would obey you. Pray believing you have already received it, and it will be done unto you. All of us have a certain amount of faith, don't we? Now, he was the true faith keeper. Jesus was. No doubt about that. He was the person that has walked this earth who embodied the Christ consciousness more than anyone else that we know of. There have certainly been others, but he embodied it the most, in my way of thinking. But sometimes we have faith in the illness instead of the outcome, don't we? How many times might we say something like, "Oh, my body, this back is killing me." We just automatically say it. And we may give lip service to the fact that we say that we are one with the Christ Spirit, and that's healing us. But when it comes down to those bodily aches and pains, we don't always practice allowing the healing to come in, do we? Sometimes we stay with the pain. I heard of an Episcopalian healer say something that really got my attention. She said, whenever you have a disease or a pain in part of your body, don't attack it or say anything negative. She said that instead, if you can picture your hand as the hand of Jesus, can you do that? Think about that for a moment. Can you think of your hand as being the hand of Jesus, filled with light? Lay it on the area that is in pain and say, "I love you." You do that. I'd like for you to think about that for a moment and hold your hand and imagine it being the hand of Jesus, filled with love and light. The greatest healing force in the world is love. So if you have at your disposal this ability to place your own hand on yourself, someone else, and heal them, you must do so on every occasion. It may be your gift. It is your gift. You have that power. You've been given that power. Now, as we know here at Unity, there are many modalities of healing. Some of our Reiki masters aren't here this morning. I see Angie's here. She's a Reiki master. Steve, Mary Frost practices healing touch. Many, many, many different modalities. We have prayer chaplains. We practice meditation. We might go to someone who will give us a massage. And that's love and light coming into, isn't it? To me, it's all the same. We're connecting to the same source. And it doesn't matter what symbols you use. If you choose symbols from one particular modality and that works for you, use that. If you practice healing touch and all that you do is practice what Joel Goldstein did and recognize that you have healing in your hands. Just recognize it. And we know that we all do to one extent or another, because the first thing you'll do if you hurt yourself is to put your hand over it. And you're bringing love and light and healing right there where it's needed. And you have the ability to do that more as well. You can take that same hand, place it on yourself, and bring healing into the world. That's why a hug is so important. It's because we feel that love and light from another. We're feeling the love and light of God, the Christ consciousness come through. A hug is important. When we put our children to bed at night, make sure we touch them lovingly and place the love and light of God and the Christ consciousness right on them before they go to sleep. So we do know, too, that every emotion causes a physical reaction, don't we? We know that. Some of us didn't know that early enough in life. Think about it. You have some resentment, some aggravation, some frustration, some stress. You've pushed it within, and the next thing you know, you have what? A migraine, a pain in your neck, a pain in your back, a pain in your shoulder. You might have a fever blister that you'll say popped up from nowhere. It didn't. It was stress. Guaranteed. I can guarantee it is. You might even have something a lot worse. Something like heart disease. It's from stress. All of those things. And we know too that even though you have a diagnosis and you may continue to have the tendency toward that throughout your life, you can keep yourself a lot healthier if you watch your thoughts, keep the stress away, and allow the light in. So just as negative emotions have a negative effect on the body, so do positive emotions. So we always want to bring as much love in to our lives as possible, love and light for healing. I read about a man named Don who's a radio personality, and he said on his show one day that he'd been suffering from depression. And then a doctor who had been listening took the time to write him a long letter and said to him, Thank you for courageously sharing that, because you never know how many people that's going to help. They heard about your difficult process you've gone through and the things you've done to improve your situation. Thank you. Hope you will continue to feel better. Well, he remarked on this, that how kind that was of her to send that letter. Now, this is a busy person, and she took time when she got to her office to write that letter and send it to him. I want to tell you, that's a healer. Doctors are busy people too, medical practitioners. And you know what I'm talking about when I say that you go to a medical practitioner and you know they're a doctor. But when you go to a doctor who's also a healer, and they listen to you and they listen with love, you know it. And you'll know, I've gone to a medical practitioner who is also a healer. And that does exist. And that's what we hope for more and more and more. And I understand how difficult their lives are, but we've all been to the doctor and felt like most of the time we were there, they were typing things into their computer, and they didn't see us, they didn't hear us. They weren't being there with us. Therefore, the healer aspect was left out of that visit. So we want to focus our attention on what's good, powerful, and healing. I would like to read something to you, and we've printed it on the bulletin. You may take it home with you, and actually, if you think about it during the week. My consciousness is a consciousness of love. My consciousness has no desire for personal gain or glory. My consciousness is a channel through which God is flowing into the world. I am an instrument through which God's love blesses all people. My consciousness does not condemn others or myself. My consciousness does not seek revenge. It's forgiving. Through this consciousness of love, which is the Christ consciousness, God enters my home, my career, my relationships, all that concern me, as well as my nation and the whole. Because of this, I am blessed. I'm blessed. We know how affirmations are so helpful. I am blessed. Whatever affirmation or modality works for you, whether it's the same rituals you've used all your life, whether there are new rituals, you may want prayer beads, you may want to sit by the ocean, whatever. I pray, hope and pray for you that your consciousness continues to evolve so that you can sit in a room. And because you were the faith keeper, you were the one that was at peace and love, and you were embodying love at every moment, that someone could touch the hem of your garment and be healed. Now I pray for you a beautiful week of sunshine and blessings and rainbows all around. Thank you for your time.